My first injuries occurred when I had a car accident in 2000. We got hit, going through a green light. Somebody came around and bashed into us, and I had lower back and hip problems and actually overall neck to back hip problems. So I endured that for a while, went through treatments. There was a point where I couldn't tie my shoes, or put on socks. I couldn't do anything really. Then I started doing chiropractic and, kind of managing it, but nobody really went into depth and told me exactly, what these injuries were doing and how they were developing and turning into other things. And so after I got past that point in life, then I went to work and sat at a desk, very limited on movement, very isolated, 10-key data entry. It was very repetitive for 6 hours, and they wouldn't let us get up except for our regular breaks. And usually when you work a job like that, for ergonomics and all that, you want to get up, move around, stretch, at least 5 minutes every hour and a half. Well, I find because of everything I went through with my job for 10 years, with my arms, my back, my tailbone, my hips, you name it, my arms. I couldn't even unbend my arms for like the first year after I got married and left that job. But while I was at that job, that department completely had an overhaul, and all the girls that I worked with were finally getting what they needed. While I was still suffering, they were keeping them from that happening. So basically I went to all my doctors on this new pain that was developing, which turned into a work comp issue. And they just told me, oh, it's, tendinosis or, stuff like that. But it wasn't until I went to a Kaiser doctor, because I was having trouble sitting, that they told me that I had some degenerative stuff going on. But nobody told me where it was. Nobody was digging in deeper to fix it. All they wanted to do was give me pills to cover it up. Take this anti-inflammatory, but it's not always good for your cardiovascular system, or take this painkiller, but you could get addicted. Oh, it was just, I think when I was working the 10 years, I was taking gabapentin, Tramadol, baclofen, ibuprofen. I would take all of that in the morning before I went to work. And then while I'm sitting at my desk, I'd take that second overall dose. So I'm, completely screwed up while I'm working, but I kicked butt. I did a good job. I'll give myself that. But, and then when I got married and moved away from that job, thank God, because it was just tearing me down. Functioning was almost impossible. Sleeping was impossible. Then I got married, and after about a year going to doctors, they were still covering up with pills. I'd do therapy here and there, and it would help a little bit, but it wasn't fixing it, and nobody was putting a name to it, So for a good 15 years, it drove me crazy. I know half of what's going on, but I don't know fully what's going on. There's something more that nobody's tapping into. So when we lived in Korea, it started to get really bad to the point where I couldn't lay down, I couldn't sit down, walking was sometimes difficult. So I started taking this stuff called Wobenzyme. It's a combination of enzymes that are supposed to help with pain and swelling, inflammation, and all that stuff. So I took that. I was able to sit down again, normally, instead of like completely leaning over, I was able to sit down again, but I was still having issues. I was able to sleep better, sit down, lay down, but I was still having issues. So we get back to the States. I'm still having problems. And I was thinking, somebody has got to know how to fix this. So I got referred from my doctor on Bliss to Dr. Kyle White. And man, my eyes opened so much. He was like, okay, let's try this. Let's do this. Let's do this. He tapped into every single thing you can imagine to tap into. We got to figure this out. And man, he just like a puzzle piece. He was putting me together. We were figuring it out. And he nailed it. He told me things that I knew what was going on, but didn't really have a name or know or where or what was happening. He told me that, I had arthritis going on. I had degenerative disc issues. I had a bulge disc. I had no idea these things were going on. Even though these other doctors did images and all this other stuff, I got very limited information and just pills. But you know what? He nailed it. He He got me into therapy. I got new exercises. We focused on those areas with only medication if we had to. We kept the natural process like I liked. But ever since I've been to him, I feel better. I'm more aware of what's going on in these troubled areas. I know what to do. I know how to limit myself. I know how to challenge myself with some of my limitations, modify workouts, take different supplements. He did put me on the gabapentin because I do have fibromyalgia, which, I'm so hard-headed about that. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have it. But no, I do. So we put me on gabapentin, and that helped with the rest of my pain. But we went to medication for the very last resort. And this medication for most nerve pain patients, it really helps a lot. And he's just an excellent doctor that I would highly recommend to anybody. All my friends that come to Sierra Vista, like I have one coming named T, and he has major back issues, and he's going straight to Dr. Kyle White. He's awesome, what can I say? He knows what he's doing, he's good at his job, he gets it done, and he figures you out.